Hey, gang, the spread on the big game is 2 points. I mean, that lets you know that this is really going to be a close one, or so the odds makers think. Thank you to my friends at Bet Parks, the Parks Casino in Shippensburg, San Fran, a 2-point favorite against the defending champions from Kansas City. Wager and watch the big game at Parks Casino or download the Bet Parks app. Action, entertainment, excitement, great food, your chance to get lucky in no time in Shippensburg. What does that mean? It means if you're in Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, Chambersburg, PA, Carlisle, PA, then you can head to the Bet Parks Casino in Shippensburg, now open less than an hour from Harrisburg, the state capital. Parks Casino Shippensburg, loaded with 500 state-of-the-art slot machines, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and more. Bet sports on the Bet Parks Sportsbook kiosks located throughout the casino. Then stay and watch all the action. Have a meal, have a cocktail, have some fun. That's really what I want to say. Visit Parks, P-A-R-X, casino.com. Got to be 21 for the casino gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for Wednesday headlines from the Daily Newsletter. So the Super Bowl is not this weekend. It is next weekend. We communed as a nation last weekend like nothing else that I can think of. Truly like nothing else. A nation of, what are we, 330 million people? Listen to the data about the AFC Championship. The Chiefs-Ravens game, according to CBS Sports, the most watched AFC Championship game ever. 55.473 million viewers. That's up 17% over last year's comparable window. The game peaked with 64 million viewers. That is unbelievable. CBS Sports delivered audiences of 50-plus million viewers in back-to-back weeks. It's all about football. If you look at the television ratings, and I pay attention to them, and you look at like the most popular shows, it's like football in terms of the most viewed. It's really stunning. I talk so often, and we discussed it again here just yesterday, about lack of commonality, lack of common experience, the fact that we all go our different directions, fueled by, in large part, the internet, which makes it so easy, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's crochet. You can go hang out with your own. But this is one example of where like everybody is paying attention. And now, of course, it's getting political, because now enter the Taylor factor. By the way, Alice did a great job, and now I saw so many TC who were similarly glomming onto this. Like, can Taylor make the Super Bowl?
It's hysterical. Yes. And I've seen it all over social media. People saying, like, I haven't used this much math since high school, or like, I never thought I would have to learn this. If X flies this amount, this fast, and the tailwind is this, it's hysterical.
We knew it first.
We did.
We knew it first. She can make the game. She can leave Tokyo.
Yep.
And get to Las Vegas with time to spare. So she has become a political issue insofar as, and some of this is just outright nutty, some folks on the right recognizing the strength, maybe, of a Taylor Swift endorsement. I have a thought on this. I don't think that people necessarily vote for Joe Biden because Taylor Swift endorses Joe Biden, but the Trump folks are apparently concerned about it, and certainly some of their conservative supporters are. It's not so much that I think that we're lemmings and we follow the lead of endorsements. If that were the case, Democrats would always be elected, because they seem to lock up all the celebrity endorsements. Who's Trump going to have? I don't know, a handful of country singers. I remember in my go-go Republican 80s, like the Democrats always had a slew of celebrities, and we Republicans of that era,
yes,
we had two.
Who were they?
Bo Derek.
Oh, nice.
Right? That's a pretty good
That's
pull.
a good one.
We were like 10 years too late, though.
Right. No.
Yeah.
There's never too late. You're never too late for Bo Derek.
She was no longer braiding her hair. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, okay.
And then the other one that we had was Charlton Heston.
From My Cold Dead Hands.
Moses.
Yes.
Yeah, from My Cold Dead. I heard him recite that line.
Yeah.
I remember like being, I think, in Dallas at the 84 convention.
Right.
When we got the My Cold Dead. And
hysterical.
we're like this. Yeah! So
So the Democrats always have Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, but does it matter?
But
but
listen,
it's a good get out the vote.
But here's the thing. She's on a planet of her own at this stage.
She is indeed.
Right? There's nobody else comparable.
There is not.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and then you combine it with NFL, and it's just complete insanity.
It's our whole country. The whole country is wrapped up now in this. The numbers will be insane. I have to believe
people are watching the Super Bowl that have never watched football or been interested in football.
True.
I have like my Mormon mommy bloggers who love Taylor Swift, who all of a sudden are sporting Chiefs garb and watching it, and they acknowledge how crazy it is.
You know, speaking of my friends at Parks Casino, there will be prop bets on how many times she's shown.
Yes. By the way, for the record, I don't think she likes how many times she shown.
No, you saw that.
Like,
you saw read her lips last
knock
week.
Knock it off.
Yeah.
Go away.
Right. It's going to be, it'll be insane.
Yeah.
So anyway, from Rolling Stone, singer-songwriter Taylor Swift hasn't even endorsed President Joe Biden for re-election yet. That hasn't stopped members of MAGA land's upper crust from plotting to declare, as one source close to Donald Trump calls it, a holy war on the megastar, especially if she ends up publicly backing the Democrats in the 2024 election. According to 3 people familiar with the matter.
Oh, there
I don't
you
know.
go.
Could I be familiar with the matter? I'm familiar with the matter. Make me number 4. Trump loyalists working on or close to the former president's campaign, longtime allies, yada, yada, an array of people. They've long taken it as a given that Taylor Swift will eventually endorse Joe Biden as she did in 2020. Some of the nuttier stuff, Vivek Ramaswamy. I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. The conspiratorial presidential candidate turned Trump surrogate pondered on social media on Monday. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple this fall. The pro-Trump broadcaster Mike Crispy led off on Sunday by claiming that the NFL is rigged in order to spread the Democratic propaganda. I'm calling it now. If KC wins, goes to the Super Bowl, Swift comes out at the halftime show and endorses. So I guess all of the teams must have taken a dive that the Chiefs beat because the fix was in. America needs the Chiefs, so the Taylor is well suited to endorse Joe Biden.
The haters got to hate. You know what I'm saying?
Go figure. Hey, it's me.
Hey! Listen to you. I'm so proud of you.
Well, it's because I said to TC, I heard the beginning of the song.
Who sings that song?
Who is that? I hear that all the time. Who is? She's like, oh, it's Taylor Swift. Let me just close the loop on this. I don't think lemmings follow Taylor Swift. I do think, however, that she could play a registration role.
Sure.
And remember,
she already has
40,000 people in 3 states determined the last election. So, okay, something else relative to Taylor and to Travis and the NFL and the Super Bowl that you and I commented on, but I want to say it here. We have another link today from the New York Post on the Chiefs fans found in the backyard frozen to death. A little sausage making for you. So I said to TC's normally great at this. No, she's always great at this, but this is a unique case. I said to TC, find me the best, hopefully Kansas City-based person.
Journalist.
Who can come on the show.
Yes.
And like tell us the story.
Yeah.
What is this all about? I got to know what the hell happened to these 3 guys. And you've made a yeoman's effort to do it and have pointed out to me, like, if you go to the Kansas City Star, their coverage is the Associated Press.
Which is unbelievable. And their coverage that is the Associated Press is not someone that, quote unquote, owns the story.
Nobody owns it.
It's an excellent story, but it's like that reporter, it's one story on that, one story on something else, one story on something else. It's just sort of a, clicking a box.
Nobody
as
owns
opposed
it.
to someone, right, an investigative team who's on every single update of the case, which is what I'm used to when something happens in X town.
We go to that newspaper normally
and they have someone
tell us what happened.
that has 5 different stories on it, and then they're the ones that can really tell you from the beginning.
Now,
I'm sure that AP reporter could do a great job, but you could do a great job after reading his story. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to make a larger point, which is that when I spoke last week about the layoffs at the LA Times, just by way of recent example, and we have another story, we're going to get to it here, about the decimation of newsrooms and the media generally, this is how it comes full circle. There isn't anybody there, I'm sure, really reporting it, because probably the Kansas City Star has had layoffs like the LA Times. And there just are so many connected, so many who are blogging and so forth, so few who are reporting. I'm not reporting. I'm here analyzing and commenting on all the other news sources, but that's what I took away from the Kansas City. We're still going to get somebody.
Of course.
Because I want to know, like, what the hell happened here.
Right.
More Wednesday headlines from the newsletter. So, poll question today at Smerconish.com. Should the U.S. exert pressure on Israel to accept a ceasefire in exchange for the release of hostages? Look, there's a lot going on in the Middle East. Peter Bergen's piece from CNN.com, which we had yesterday, really brought it home for me when he spoke of the fact that there are 10 different countries. 10 different countries in conflict now in the Middle East: Jordan, Iran, Israel, Syria, Pakistan, the U.S., UK, Iran's proxies in Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, and 4 major terror organizations. And, into that mix, of course, the loss of 3 Army reservists, all from Georgia. The president is going to be there in Dover, in Delaware, when the remains arrive on Friday. Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, Specialist Kennedy LaDon Sanders, Specialist Brianna Alexandria Moffett. And Peter Bergen's point is to say all of this conflict is related, and what's necessary here is that the U.S. use its leverage and get Israel to accept a deal where, if Hamas would release all the hostages, there would then be a ceasefire in Gaza. He also pairs it with a 2-state solution and wants Israel to have to commit to that. Otherwise, says Bergen, there's no long-term prospect for peace. Go vote on today's poll question. Yesterday, 24,769 votes cast. Should the military enlist individuals who didn't graduate from high school or get a GED? 63% of us, I will say, said yes, they should. Rob Rogers, a great editorial cartoon today, TC. He writes on sketches for us on Wednesdays.
That is true.
It is President Biden looking at his poll numbers and trying to row a boat at the same time.
Right. He is saying that a rising tide lifts all boats, but someone forgot to tell his boat as he sinks.
And making the point that there's an argument to be made for Joe Biden based on the economy.
And
but
yet,
he doesn't seem to get credit.
He's not.
His boat still sinks.
His boat is still sinking.
Still sinking.
According to Rob Rogers.
We love Snopes.com. There's a Snopes addressing of an internet rumor that there's this photograph out there. We're going to probably show it for the benefit of our YouTube folks, of Osama bin Laden meeting with George W. Bush. It is fake.
It is fake. It is, spoiler alert, it is fake. AI, whatever, sort of the precursor to AI, but it's just a doctored photograph.
Okay. A photograph that is not doctored.
The best photograph of the week.
The best. In fact, it's lead. Do you know I put this in lead position in the newsletter today?
I'm not sure it warrants that, but it's fun.
I'm not sure it warrants it either, but the picture. And what are we making reference to? Yesterday, and my headline, a near miss.
Okay, but that, again,
near miss.
Come on, it wasn't a near miss.
A near miss on the runway in West Palm Beach in the airport
next to each other,
where Air Force One and Trump Force One had a close encounter on the runway.
Okay, they didn't. What is wrong with you with this fake news situation? They did not have a close encounter. Air Force One landed, and when they parked, in the photograph, you can see both of them. But there was no close encounter. There was not like someone crashing. It just wheeled in and parked.
In what may be a foreshadowing of the 2024 presidential election, Air Force One and former President Donald Trump's private jet sat within feet of each other on Tuesday on the tarmac at Palm Beach International Airport. By the way, good airport to fly in and out of. Not long lines from my perspective. So keep that in mind.
I was once delayed at Philadelphia because Air Force One was landing, and I didn't mind. It was just so spectacular to see it land and come right next to our airplane that I was like, yep, go ahead. This is so cool.
When the kids were younger, we were departing on a family vacation. And as we were taking off, Air Force One had already landed and was parked on an adjacent runway. And we all had a great, and they loved it to see Air Force One
felt.
As we were taking off.
That's how I felt.
As we were taking off.
We were momentarily delayed, but I just was so thrilled with the whole thing.
I made reference to this story earlier when I made a comment about the LA Times layoffs, but I'll do so again now. Is American journalism headed toward an extinction level event? This is from MSN. For a few hours last Tuesday, the entire news business seemed to be collapsing all at once. Journalists at Time Magazine and National Geographic announced that they'd been laid off. Unionized employees at magazines owned by Condé Nast staged a one-day strike to protest imminent cuts. By far the grimmest news from the LA Times, the biggest newspaper west of Washington, D.C. After weeks of rumors, the paper announced that it was cutting 115 people in more than 20% of its newsroom. Read that story about the decline of legacy news media and realize, as I say, that no amount of bloggers are making up for the loss that we have of investigative journalists. We miss them, and we're going to pay a serious price for that. There's a lot of great data in that piece, so make sure you check it out. Okay, TC and I, both on the bandwagon of a fabulous documentary.
Oh.
Do you want to tell the story?
I was telling friends
Greatest
last
Night in
that
Pop?
Greatest Night in Pop. This is an in-depth story of the one night that they recorded We Are the World, in 1985, and how it is also the sort of domino effect of how they got all those stars to do it. And once they got like Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, then they used the fact that they had Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson to get everybody else on board. But Michael, the stars and the footage.
It's amazing.
And the fact that they
filmed
were
it
all there.
They filmed
and the
it
fact
all.
that they're human. There's some very human moments in
Bob
that.
Dylan.
Yeah,
Bob Dylan was like kind of nervous and didn't find his
mumbling.
place.
He was not.
Wait, he always mumbles.
Right, I know, but he was mumbling badly. And then they were tired and they were sweaty and they were hungry.
They spent the whole night there.
They spent the whole night there. They kept
spent
showing the clock and it was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m. I was like, what is happening here?
So what I found most, this is a Netflix documentary.
It's a Netflix documentary.
And independent of one another, we both discovered it, watched it, and loved it.
Agreed.
It's really, really great.
Let me read the lead and then you say
Go
it.
ahead.
So this is from the AP. 39 years ago, the biggest music stars in the world crammed into a recording studio in Los Angeles for an all-night session that they hope might alter music history. We Are the World was a 1985 charity single for African famine relief that included the voices of Michael Jackson, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, Ray Charles, Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, Paul Simon, Tina Turner, Dionne Warwick, Lionel Richie, Billy Joel, and Bruce Springsteen. Fans get a chance to almost step into that recording session this month with Netflix documentary The Greatest Night in Pop, a behind-the-scenes look at the complex birth of a mega hit.
The way they were able to pull it off is because the American Music Awards were in Los Angeles that night. And of course, because of the time difference, it meant that would end a little bit sooner than it would have on the East Coast. And they just took advantage of the fact that all of these stars were going to be in L.A. Now, some of them weren't going to be in L.A. Bruce Springsteen was finishing a tour in Buffalo. Final night of his tour. John Landau, his manager, said, hey, he never likes to fly the night after a show, the day after a show. But like even to TC's point, even Bruce realized this is really going to be big and I want to be a part of it. So I think you'll love it.
Another detail about the AMAs is that Lionel Richie, who was so instrumental and is the host of this Netflix documentary,
very
by the way,
likable guy,
so athletic,
all
so
night
good.
long.
Oh my, exactly. So he was the host of the AMAs that night and won
Cleans up
6 of them.
Right.
Won 6, and then directly from there, like had to scooch out of the media veil to get to the recording studio.
And then I love the part where he goes home at sunrise, having recorded all night long. Quincy Jones is really the orchestrator of all of this. And Lionel Richie tells the story that when he finally walks in at home, everybody at home is excited about him having hosted and won all the awards. And the only thing in his head is how he spent the entire overnight orchestrating this song. It's really great. We both loved it. If we loved it, you're going to love it. Finally, it's the 31st of January. It is the last day of dry January.
Congratulations, Michael. Seriously.
Last night, I had the best beer of the month. I had a Heineken Zero.
Yeah.
I was with my mother having a bite of dinner, and I said to the waitress,
bartender,
hey, you have something non-alcoholic? Yeah, we have a Heineken. I'm like, oh, bring me one of those.
It looked gorgeous.
And it was
I'm looking at it
fabulous.
now on YouTube. I mean, that is
athletic. IPA and Heineken Zero. Tremendous. And I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow night, but I'm going to do it on YouTube Live at 6 p.m.
Wait,
I don't know
you not?
I might not have a drink. I might not have a drink.
Okay.
I don't feel like, I got to have a Manhattan or I want to have. No, I'm good.
So what are we doing on YouTube? Watching you not have a drink?
Maybe.
I'm gonna boo.
Maybe everybody else. By the way,
pressure.
By the way, it doesn't matter if you've celebrated Dry January. Join me tomorrow at 6 p.m. There's a Washington Post piece of great non-alcoholic drinks. Just give me a taste of one of those.
It's beautiful. So I pulled up the whiskeys because I figured that would be what you would like. And this author says that the bottle that was a dead ringer was Spiritless Kentucky 74. They use a reverse distillation process. So they start with high proof and then they take out the alcohol so it still has the taste. Spiritless Kentucky 74. How about that?
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a drink or not with me. See you then.